Okay, we are on What's Your Idea? All about your profession. My name is Aline, and we have as a guest Anouk Stein, who's joining us on Zoom from another city, I believe. You're on the East Coast.
Arizona, actually.
Oh, you're in Arizona. Okay, like an hour ahead of us.
The same time zone this time of year. We don't do daylight savings.
Oh, you don't? So it is 9 a.m. over there now?
Yep, yep.
Oh, okay. So I thought some Arizona time was sometime an hour ahead. But anyway, that's when we have daylight saving time. Yeah. So it's good to have you on the show. And I hope you had a good week. You look rested, and I'm happy you accepted the invitation. So maybe to get started, and we know your name. So what is either the purpose of your startup, or what is your startup all about?
So our startup is called MD.ai. It's a small
MD.ai.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're all radiologists.
You,
Or we started out as all radiologists. Now we have a few other programmers. And we are in the medical AI space. Our
okay.
company started because we did a Kaggle competition. And as part of it, we needed to re-annotate a lot of the data. And we quickly found out that there was just no good platform for annotation. So that was the first pivot of our company to become an annotation platform. We figured if we needed it, other people needed it too. So we have
you're building it? Is that what you're doing? You're building the platform?
We have it already, and we have quite a few pharmaceutical companies as customers. We have Stanford, UCSF, and they're using it for research. And now with COVID, it's really important because they can do AI research at home.
Oh.
So we have a way that people can put their medical data on the cloud, and then multiple readers, multiple radiologists can access it from all over the world and annotate it.
Okay. And Zoom, Zoom Premium allow 100 people on Zoom. I have Zoom Premium. How many people are allowed on your platform?
Really infinite. We haven't tried it with more than 200 people at a time. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and that's really the idea.
So it's a lot more than Zoom. It's a lot more people in the group. But does that allow also photo of the person? I mean, video of the person?
No, it's not. They're not communicating. Correct. It's not a communication. It's they're looking at the same medical data. So they would be looking at the same MRI or CT and then put boxes around it or draw around a tumor.
So they share the case together.
Yeah.
And then they get input from different specialists who are on the line, online.
It could be used like that. It's mostly to get data for AI for learning. So right now there are huge databases where they have common objects that have boxes around them, but there's not a lot of data for medical AI. So some of the things that we got involved in were Kaggle competitions. So we worked with some of the large radiology societies and that's how we got 200 people to read at once. And
so it's not to examine certain particular cases.
It's to look at large sets of data to get them ready for AI so that the algorithm can train on that and learn to do exactly what the humans just did. So we last year we did a Kaggle competition for brain hemorrhage.
Really?
So the radiologist picked out all the images that had hemorrhage on them.
Okay.
And it was, thousands and thousands of studies. Wow. And then we opened it up to the community and had people make an algorithm to predict brain hemorrhage and where it was. And it was really interesting because 2 of the top 10 winners worked at a baseball company.
Oh,
They did baseball statistics, and that was apparently close enough to medical AI that they were able to make an algorithm and get in the top 10.
okay. So it doesn't specifically, it's for radiologists, but other professions can join in.
Sure, absolutely. We have dermatologists on the platform. We have ophthalmologists. So really almost any image that you can make, but we are mostly geared towards doctors because there just is no other platform,
For them.
yeah, medical images have to be treated in a special way because of privacy rules. So
Oh,
that's what we help to do.
okay. So, uh, okay. So people get online anytime they want.
Anytime they want, from wherever they want, from the local Starbucks, from home, wherever.
Okay. So it's not really a meetup. It's more like available data.
Yeah, it's like a little bit more like a Google Docs where everyone can work on the same project at the same time.
Okay. So maybe two radiologists are working on a specific case. They can email each other and say, let's get online to your platform.
They they could. Usually, when we have people look at the same data, we have them blinded to each other. So we don't want them to know what anyone else has seen,
Oh,
and so that we got kind of de novo reading, so that each person says just their impression, and at the end we put it all together.
without knowing what the other person is doing on his own.
Yeah, so that's really important for the research to make sure that people are blinded.
I see,
But
I
you
see.
certainly could collaborate and kind of look at things together, and we have done that.
Okay, okay. So let's say two people get together and they examining your platform. There's different topics on the platform.
Well, it really depends on the project that you're doing. So if you're doing a mammography project, you may just have, hundreds and thousands of mammograms. If you're doing a spine project, it would be just of the spine. So people really try to focus when they're gathering the data so that they have focused AI.
Got it. But when you say you have all these data from hundreds of cases, who decide which case they're going to upload there?
It's actually the data belongs to the researchers. So none of the data is ours.
Okay,
So the researchers have it in their own Google bucket, and then
okay,
they we hook it up to our platform so that they can look at it from all over the world.
okay. So there is no censorship of what can go on or not.
It has to be, you're correct. As long as it's HIPAA compliant, and HIPAA are the privacy rules, so that you can't have a patient's name or any
Of course.
identifiable information about them.
Okay, so the researcher upload his case and make it
Yeah.
available to everybody who wants to access your platform.
They invite specific people because, again, medical data, you have to be a little careful about it. So people are just invited to a specific project. But one
Okay.
of the interesting things we found out about privacy
Yeah.
was that when you do a CAT scan of somebody's head, you can reconstruct it to see their face. And now with facial recognition software, you
Mm-hmm.
could re-identify the patient. So we came up with an algorithm to blur the person's face. So that's like just like a next level of privacy, medical privacy.
Oh, interesting. So that's for privacy purposes. But to be admitted again on your platform, do they need to have credentials? Like, do they need to be officially a radiologist or an MD or a researcher or a surgeon?
For some of the projects, yeah.
Yeah.
But for if someone, if a
Is a student?
pharmaceutical company has our platform, it's really whoever they want to invite. So we do have data scientists who are on it. Um, and as, but yeah, really you can invite anyone that you think needs to see the data.
So you say Stanford is part of your customer base, but is that for their student or for their researchers?
It's for their researchers. It's for they have an AI imaging group.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough to get invited to show our platform to them and speak to them. So they're using it for a bunch of different algorithms.
Oh, so you went there in person and met with them?
Yeah, they're just amazing. They're just doing so many interesting things.
Wow, that's amazing. That so you acted also for your company as the person who does a demonstration of the product, something like that?
Yeah, I do a lot of, well, I'm a radiologist too. So I'm a radiologist with a technical background.
Oh,
So I do a lot of the demonstrations. I also do a lot of the data analysis.
okay.
I've written some AI programs using Facebook's
Wow.
algorithm, which is Facebook is, they're so generous. They made this amazing algorithm called Detectron 2.
No.
And I was able to take their tutorial, which finds balloons,
Wow.
and instead put in our data and have it find kidneys, since the kidney looks a little bit like a balloon. So that's
You
been
mean
really
you
fun.
have a group, a private group on Facebook?
Actually, Facebook has their own algorithm called Detectron 2.
Yeah.
They've made it open source and
Yeah.
they've made tutorials for people to use. So one of the tutorials is how to find a balloon in a picture. So then you can take that tutorial and adapt it to your own data.
Okay. And how to find balloons of shapes? Is that what you mean?
So this particular tutorial looked at pictures
Yeah.
that have balloons in it, and it would pick out the balloon in the picture. And that was just the data that they fed it. So instead of feeding it balloon pictures, I fed it kidney pictures with boxes around the kidneys. And then it had to predict on other cases where are the kidneys, and it did a pretty good job.
Oh, really? So,
Yeah.
Facebook is also allowing this kind of research on their platform.
They're really encouraging it. I mean, they're making this fantastic algorithm open source,
Oh,
and they're showing you how to use it with really well written tutorials.
wow.
Um, yeah, they're really trying to democratize AI.
That's great. That's great. So, were you able to attend any AI meetup?
Um, not since COVID. Yeah, we I've been to a few conferences,
Yeah,
and there is some really
because they
interesting
did it
stuff going
them.
on.
That's why I asked, because this year they did it online for all the speakers. So, but of course it's not free, you know. So,
Right.
so even though it's online, people still have to pay a reduced rate than in person. But it's only for people who understand what the speaker is talking about. Okay. But I guess in your case, you do your own research because you way ahead of all these conferences open to anyone. Is that basically it?
Um, you know those boxes, Blue Apron, where they send you all the ingredients for food and then you can make it. So AI is really almost at that point that it's like Blue Apron, where you've got all the ingredients and you kind of just have to feed your own annotated data in there. Um, I have a technical background, but I don't have a PhD in machine learning. And the fact that I'm able to create reasonable algorithms shows you kind of how far along it's come.
Okay. So you create your own algorithm for your platform.
Yeah. when we've been building some of the ones that I've created into the platform.
Okay. So that does require some kind of coding abilities, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. When I had my son 20 years ago, I took some time off and I went back to school and I learned computer programming as well as some robot vision and at the time AI, but it was really early AI. It was nothing like what's going on now. And I just
Okay.
found that I
Okay.
loved it.
So
I
that's,
loved programming.
you do. So that's
Yeah.
coming handy now a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I wrote a few apps when apps were very new for
Really?
Apple. And I won a prize from the National Library of Medicine for one of my medical apps. It was an anatomy app.
You did apps? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so
So
now I'm working with Python a lot, and I love Python. It's
you
just
do?
very powerful. Yeah, really powerful data analysis language.
It's funny because I learned the old languages when I was younger, but I never took the time to learn the new languages, like you said, like Python. But is that something people learn online, right? Those new languages?
It's really easy to pick up. Python is
Really?
it's a very intuitive language, and I was speaking to a technology educator who says they're teaching it to 7-year-olds.
Wow. So
Yeah,
so it's
they don't even
pretty,
teach Scratch anymore.
it can be okay. I'll look it up online then if it's that easy. I mean, why not? I mean, I do have a background a few years ago, but even though I never used what I learned, but that's another story. But I do have the basics, you know.
What did
I
you
do.
learn?
I do have the background. So to go back to your, how do you spell again your startup? I didn't spell it.
It's
MD,
MD.ai, and that's our website as well. So MD.ai for
MDI.
like MD.ai. So it's a play on,
Oh,
MD for
that's easy to
medical
remember
and AI.
actually. It's very easy. So MD.ai, and that's your website?
That's our website. Yeah, that's our
That's
company
very
and our
easy. That's
website.
very easy. Wow, I thought it was a very complicated name. Okay, so that's good. That's good. At least everybody knows what MD means. And most people nowadays know artificial intelligence, AI, you know. So I didn't know they did an AI, uh, uh, how do you call it, for website AI.com, .co, .ai now. I'm
Oh
glad
yeah,
they did that one. I heard that now there's an infinite number of and website, I don't know what you call it, URL,
the
and yeah.
suffix. Yeah.
So that's good that you picked up AI, and it fit perfectly what you researching. So it's you who's writing the platform, and you have a partner also, right?
We have a brilliant guy who's writing the platform. He went to med school.
Yeah.
He trained he went to med school at Harvard and undergrad at MIT. He
Wow.
started out doing radiology and realized that that was part of the past and he wanted to be part of the future and he wanted to get into AI.
Oh,
And he's just unbelievable. So he's written the whole platform.
wow. And your input is to present it to different companies. I mean, your role, your
Yeah,
role.
well, it's a small company, so everybody does a little of everything.
Okay, so he's
Um,
he's allowed to present as well. Okay.
yeah, we have the three of us, and so that's Leon Chen, and the third person is George Shi, and he's a radiologist at Cornell.
Okay, so
And
Leon Chan,
yeah,
and
Leon
the
Chen
third
and
one,
George Shi. So they
George.
were the two founders, and then I joined them.
Oh,
And
that's nice of them. I hope they didn't let you join just because they wanted a woman in the group, but it has nothing to
maybe,
do.
maybe.
That has nothing
But
to do with.
George and I used to work at Columbia together, so that's how
Oh, so
we.
you're friends.
Yeah,
You work at which company? Colombian?
I used to work at Columbia Presbyterian in New York City as a
Oh,
radiologist.
Presbyterian. So that was a hospital?
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
I trained in New York as well.
So it was a religious outfit, Columbia University Presbyterian. It was a religious, um, originally a religious.
Um, it's maybe when it was founded, but not for a long time.
Yeah. Now everything has evolved to being like a regular hospital.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of the top hospitals in New York, if not the country. There.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Good to know. Uh, it's mostly for, they specialize in something.
it's a huge hospital. They do everything there.
Oh, they do
Yeah.
everything. Okay, not just
Dr.
cancer.
Oz came from there. I don't know if you know Dr. Oz.
Oh, okay, okay. So they have all kinds of department like any other hospital.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow. So that's good to know. I'm sure that during COVID they were busy mostly with COVID case, but now that's easing up. They back to semi-normal. Um, I mean, I heard it's in the decline everywhere now, thankfully.
Luckily, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think your company might reopen next year in terms of having an office, or are you gonna keep on working from home?
Well, we actually started out as a remote company. We were already distributed.
Okay.
Um, and we had an office, but I don't think anyone ever went there. I think
Okay,
the
okay. So,
interns went there once in a while. But I'm in Arizona, and George is in New York, and Leon's in Washington. So we're
okay.
already, yeah,
So you just say hi and happy and greetings and things like that online then.
yeah, yeah. And we do a lot of work through Slack. We found that Slack really is
It's
a
good.
good communication tool.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever try WeWork? WeWork, it's a new one.
That's where our office was, and that's where no one really went. So,
Oh, they have a new platform called WeWork. Um, it's
oh,
WeWork.com for by Salesforce to allow teams to work together.
oh wow,
Yeah, I don't know. With three people, maybe it's not necessary. You can just do Zoom, right? Zoom is perfectly good. So
yeah,
with Zoom
yeah,
Premium, you can go over 40 minutes, and that's all you need at this point.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Because I took the Zoom Premium, but I do not need 100 people on my show. It could happen. But the good part is if I go over 40 minutes, it won't cut me off. Yeah,
ah,
so yeah, you can go longer than 40 minutes with the premium. So
so I
anyway,
wanted to,
so to I mean, I want to. So George started it. He came up with the idea to have a platform for research and
he and Leon,
radiologists
yeah.
and radiologists, and you and your friend Leon helped to develop it.
Yeah, Leon and George are the founders, and they came up with the idea. And Leon wrote the whole platform, but now we have other programmers working on it.
Oh, good.
Um,
Okay. So
and
you,
I joined about 3 years ago.
oh, okay. So you're on board because you used to be a radiologist and you're like a consultant to them.
Um, yeah, yeah. I guess because I can talk to both worlds. I can talk to people in the medical world, and I can
Yeah.
talk to technical people.
Wow.
And
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of a, yeah. It's like it's not a common. skill, especially not with women, unfortunately. So I find that I'm really occupying a unique space.
That's good that you have both them. Um, so originally, because the show is all about your profession, what got you into radiology? It was just a choice because you were too young to make any other choice, or you were fascinated by X-rays?
Well, when I was in sixth grade, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but I
Really?
wanted to work with machines and not
Ah,
people. But there wasn't really a job like that at the time. But when I got to med school, I was very lucky to meet, they call her the grandmother of radiology training, Dr.
oh,
Lucy Squire. And she
oh,
was at my med school, and she just made radiology seem like the most fascinating thing you'd ever want to do. And actually, quite a lot of people went into radiology from our med school because of her.
nice.
And I just loved it. I felt like it was, you were being Sherlock Holmes every day. You were taking all kinds of information and trying to put it together to make sense. And as a radiologist, you're a consultant to all the other doctors in the hospital.
Nice.
So it was just fascinating. I loved it.
So everything became digitized like 20 years ago anyway, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you had no problem getting other data at that time.
Right, right.
I remember the old days, maybe 50 years ago, where they had to hold the actual radio in their hands, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now it's all just stored online.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have big stacks
Yeah,
of
yeah,
actual
that's right.
films that we'd have to put up, and
Wow. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember those. And then finally people, say there must be a better way. So,
yeah, yeah.
and are
And when you wanted
the,
to see it, you had to hold it up to a hot light to
yeah,
really see it deeper. Like now with the computer, you just change the
you
settings
change
and
the
you can
light
see.
in the computer? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you just
is it hard to make a diagnosis looking at an X-ray?
it is. It is. And that's why you really need to have a team. You need to know, because it's not just what you're seeing, right? It's how to interpret it. So you need to know what were the past x-rays, what are the labs, what is the clinical presentation. And that's why I said it feels like Sherlock Holmes, because you're putting all this information together to come up with a reasonable differential diagnosis.
Okay, okay. So even in hospitals, like regular hospitals, they don't make a decision by themselves. They consult two or three other people.
Often on difficult cases. I mean, there are a lot of things that are pretty straightforward, appendicitis, for example.
Like a broken
But
bone.
some things are difficult, and you really, you do need to pull in your colleagues and kind of get a consensus about a case.
I see, I see. So as a team cooperation, the medical world is not like a secret or anything like that. Everybody cooperates because it's to save a human life. It
Oh,
doesn't,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
My internship was in pathology, and I was surprised, and pathology is considered the final word.
yeah.
And I was surprised at how many times three or four pathologists would gather around a microscope to, to try to decide what something was. And sometimes it would come down to a vote. And if two people thought it was one thing, and then they would say, okay, well, we're going to go with that. Because some of these things
Okay.
are really hard. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
So
now
those are,
people do the same thing but online.
you can. Yeah, you can.
No, I
There
mean
really is
they
something to
used to
being there
meet
in
in a
person.
hospital group. Now they meet online, I assume.
Yeah. And a lot of people they're as radiologists, they're isolated, right?
Oh,
So you have a lot of radiologists out in the community in a small practice, and
okay,
they're probably reading a lot of different exams. And
okay,
that's kind of one of the hopes for AI. So if say you take a super expert at Stanford and they're just doing neuroradiology, I
yeah,
mean, they they're going to be fantastic, and no AI is going to be better than them. But if you take a community radiologist who maybe reads, some mammo and some abdomen and a little bit of neuroradiology, they're just not going to be as much of an expert as the person at Stanford who just only does that. And the idea behind medical AI, the hope behind it, is that we can support the community radiologists so that they can be an expert in every single field.
Okay. So your role in your startup called MD.ai is to help facilitate the conclusion of a case.
Yeah, absolutely. And to help organize large annotation projects, to get people together and kind of decide on an annotation approach, like what's the best way to answer the question. So if you're looking at lungs, what's the best way to answer the question, what's wrong with this lung?
Okay. So now they have access to a lot more cases than just one hospital. But even, with computers, you can access anything you want. But MD.ai, because it's artificial intelligence, for those who don't know, the computer will help in coming to conclusions.
Yeah, it will make predictions, and the goal is to make good predictions. Because,
Okay. So
right now with lung nodule, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So like with lung nodules, it'll find the lung nodule, but for every case, it'll find 3 to 6 other things that are not. So it's really annoying. You have to kind of get rid of all, they're called false positives. So it's something that the computer picks out as positive, but it's not real. And some of the challenges with AI are that it can take like maybe a non-radiologist and have them look at an X-ray at the level of a radiologist. But sometimes, paradoxically, it makes radiologists worse because they get lazy. And so if the computer doesn't pick it up, they're not like doing that very, very careful check to look for other things that the computer might miss because of human nature. So that's another challenge.
Yeah, the artificial intelligence is impartial. The computer just go do one thing and that's it, and they don't look at the variables.
Well, and part of it is that the AI can sometimes be very good, but not perfect. And it's almost worse when it's like that, when it's very, very good, because it's going to find most things. And then the radiologist kind of, you can call it laziness or you can call it efficiency, but our brains naturally then will just accept the answer that the computer gives and not look deeper for other things. And so that's one of the hazards. That is a hazard with the AI.
Isn't it better to let a human make a decision? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. But AI has a role to play in some way.
To really, as a second pair of eyes, to support the radiologist, to find things that maybe they missed.
Okay. So, no, because my personal experience with AI is that they don't think. Like I explained to you during the meetup, in 1 second, they disable a whole channel. And I think that's dangerous. We need to let a human make that decision, not a computer, not a robot.
Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes AI can be very, very dangerous. But let's hope it won't be as dangerous as we go into more research. But I know that AI also sometimes misinterpret badly things.
Yes. And I have an interesting story. So we there is a large data set that has pneumothorax cases. And a pneumothorax is air around the lung, right? So the lung
Okay.
collapses and
Okay.
there's air around it, and that's not good. You have to drain the air out. And when you drain the air out, you put a chest tube in, and that just pulls the air out and the lungs reinflate.
Okay.
So when you look at AI, you can do something called a heat map. And the heat map tells you where on the picture, what's interesting to the AI, what's it making its decision on.
Mm-hmm.
So you would hope for pneumothorax, and it's usually like a crescent around the lung, that it would be looking at that crescent, looking for the air crescent. And what they found was in a lot of the cases, because they had a pneumothorax, they had treatment with this chest tube that was in the chest, the AI was focused only on the chest tube.
Mm.
So it was not finding pneumothorax, it was finding chest tube, which then happened to have a pneumothorax. So that can be very misleading. So there's another problem with AI that has to be, you can fix it,
yeah.
but you have to be aware of it.
Yeah, because AI is fairly new, I mean, compared to other technology, but because it is fairly new, it should not be applied to life and death situation. It should be applied maybe to predict scores in schools, to predict
Baseball.
things that are economics or things. But medical, someone might have a tumor 1 month and the next month the tumor could be gone. You never know. You gotta not jump to conclusion like a machine.
Yeah, you definitely need a pair of eyes on each case. Another story where AI went on the wrong track medically. They were trying to predict which patients would do well in the ICU
Oh
who
yeah.
came in with lung problems, and they found that the people with asthma
Mm-hmm.
actually did better than other people, which shouldn't make sense. You shouldn't do, if you already have a pre-existing lung problem, which is asthma, you shouldn't do better if you have pneumonia and you end up in the ICU. So what they found out was that it wasn't that the asthma was protecting anyone. It was that as soon as the medical staff saw that there was asthma on the history, they took extra precautions, extra care,
Okay.
and the patient got a different level of treatment. So
Okay.
the AI predicted an effect, not a cause.
Mm, interesting. So just giving that extra care made them heal
Yeah. So
faster.
that's another pitfall with AI. Kind of like, are you finding just an association, or are you finding like a real reason, a real cause for something?
No, yeah. Yeah, I understand what I mean, you must have challenges working with AI then. I mean,
It's cool. It's very cool.
there is also, you should always put a note, please review with a real human this whole AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
because a
That is
machine is a
true.
machine. It will never match the brain of a human.
There are just too many edge cases. You're absolutely right, Aline, because the human can deal with kind of an infinite number of edge cases, and the machine goes off the edge.
The
you know,
machine
so,
just say, okay, that's it, I'm over. That's my
right.
conclusion. Yeah. Yeah. So some people like it. Now I've heard even because of COVID, I heard about now new apps to that talk back to people when they are depressed. It's a machine that talk back to them, and the machine is programmed to answer them uh, based on what the patient is talking about, like it's an app. And then I mean, I don't know how people would feel to get advice from an app. I mean, it's so impersonal. um, if you have a personal problem, you should talk to a human. If you talk to an app, it can say anything that they feel they
Right.
want to say, even though if it has been refined. You know, let's say instead of calling suicide prevention, they go on the app and they talk to a machine who responds to them. Is that effective? I don't know, but absolutely confidential. But is it as effective as a human? I don't know.
There was a study, but I think it was done by the app company itself that
Okay.
showed that it helped some people. But I
Oh,
did try out that app and I found it, I wasn't satisfied. I didn't feel like I was talking to a human. It felt very much like an app, but that's just
okay.
my
Yeah, it's
experience.
very impersonal. It's very impersonal. Like the now they have on Facebook and LinkedIn, they have what they call bots, automatic answers, you know? And then
Yeah.
you get, as soon as you're on LinkedIn, you get a what they call an automatic message. And then the message, and then you think it's a human, right? So you answer, and the machine answers. And in the end, the whole thing doesn't make sense because the machine answer way too quickly before you had time
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
rebuttal, before you have time to rebuttal, and the machine go in their own way somewhere. And meanwhile, you just stuck on the first question.
Right, right. It's got
So,
a way
so,
to go.
so I mean,
Yeah.
they try to to foresee what the customer is going to say, but the customer is way back there now. He has not moved on to the speed of the bots, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree. It's, yeah.
I mean, they can use it if they want. Maybe they can talk to more people at a time, but people are going to get stuck at one point and say, oh, I'm done with this, you know. There's nobody who really addressing my objection, or nobody who's really addressing my first question, and they move on to the second and third question. Yeah, so that's
Exactly.
why right now it's not ready. That's my opinion. It could be ready maybe in 10 years, but right now, I mean, they need more research, they need more slowing down, they need more less conclusion, and definitely never let the machine make the final decision. Never. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
And and that's, and not, needing humans in the loop, needing humans to talk to and discuss things with is so important. And even though we're a tech company, um, really what we offer is us, talking about AI, us giving advice, um, kind of, really in the end, it all comes down to customer service, right? Like
Yeah,
no matter what business you're in or what your idea is, it's like, what value can you give to other people?
yeah. I mean, major companies now also have customer service that are automatic. You pose your problem and the machine answers, and
Right.
that's so impersonal. I never use it.
Yeah,
I never
it's like
use
the
it.
opposite of customer service. It's like customer disservice.
Exactly. They think
Yeah,
they're replacing an employee by having a machine, but people are repelled. I mean, they don't want to deal with it anymore. They say this machine is not listening to me. They're just saying whatever they want,
exactly, exactly.
and the machine doesn't understand the complexity of any problem. They just understand basics, and then as soon as it gets complex, it goes on its own way, and they say goodbye.
And what we're finding is the more that we do customer service, the more that we talk to people, the more that we're available, the better company we are.
Oh,
Because
I
frankly,
agree.
there
I
are free
agree.
tools that do what we do, but the free tools don't come with people. And in the end, that's, rather than being a tech company, we're really like a people company, which I
Oh,
guess
I
every
agree. I
company
agree.
should be.
And I'm happy you came to that conclusion before my suggestion. But if you ever have customer service, make them human. I mean, I know there are many programs out there that could replace a human, but they will never replace a human. And I'm glad that you came to that conclusion with your company too. So I just wanted to give you my feedback, but I'm glad you knew
Thank
that
you.
already. So,
The best part about the human interaction is I get to see everybody's babies. I make
oh,
everybody put their babies on Zoom so I can,
that too.
so
That's
I
good.
can get to
Yesterday there
play
was
with
a
them.
lady with a baby, yeah, and so she put herself on mute because the baby was crying, but that gave a cute little diversion. I mean, distraction to the meetup. Better than Mr. X for sure. I like hearing. I love the sound of
Oh
babies
my,
anytime. Uh,
right.
because they're so innocent and so cute. But anyway, so I don't know if anybody who listened to this interview understand exactly what you are trying to accomplish. So rather than me asking you questions in different directions, why don't you tell me in conclusion in 5 minutes what you are trying to accomplish?
So we are trying to be a platform to help people make better medical AI.
Okay.
So we're trying to be a way that they can easily create data sets
Okay.
to create algorithms and then be able to put them back in and test them. Because once you make an algorithm, you
Yeah.
want to see how good is it so that you can put it back in our platform and see it. So really we're a tool to support researchers.
Okay. So in your tool, people input their data and then they do have their own programmers to do the algorithm and they do then work on that particular study.
Right, right. So they come with their own data and
Yeah.
their own annotators and their
Yeah.
own data scientists to
Yeah.
do the algorithm. And then we provide the tool. But we'll also, again, because we're a people company, we'll provide help with algorithms or really whatever they
Okay.
need.
Okay. Yeah. So that sounds like a good service if you provide a good customer service to help them with their algorithm and stuff like that. So your platform has been up and running and it's available right now. You said at Stanford and 4 other places, UCSF.
UCSF, we kind of have places all over the world. We have a research organization in Italy. We have a research organization in Brazil that's part of us, several
Oh, so
pharmaceutical
it's going
companies. And we're
international
talking, yeah, and we're talking to a bunch of different academic centers to
in the world.
add them. Yeah,
Yeah, the good news is everybody understands English. It's the universal business language. So you can reach
sure.
anybody in the world and they'll understand you. And so although your platform is in a language, like you said, computer language, the language that you speak to your customers is English,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So,
And a
and
little German sometimes.
a little bit of German because you
Yeah.
know how to speak it.
Yeah, and then George lived in France for a while, so a little bit of French sometimes too.
Oh, okay, okay, and he probably communicate with China too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chinese have any issues speaking English? No,
No, no. I mean,
they all do.
yeah,
Yeah, they all do.
everybody speaks English
India,
here.
they all English. I don't know any country that doesn't require English as a second language. It's getting to be standardized now. So
Yeah,
anyway, although there was a fight in Canada where they were trying to decide whether it's going to be French or English, and now if you go to Quebec, is everything is bilingual. So like my show, French American TV. So I enjoy chatting with you. I don't know how long this has been, but I understand in your conclusion what your startup is about, and I'm sure you're perfecting it every day more and more. And I'm sure there's always more, as you hear from researcher, more to be added to the platform. So I congratulate you on your and George and Leon for their initiative to start this. And I wish you all the success in the world. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Aileen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day, a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.